Hello, and thank you for clicking into this edition of Sit Down with Ed Brown. I would also like to thank all of our listeners for all the great comments, the likes, as well as subscribing to our channel. Let's keep them coming. Today's guests are two former members of Team Tracker. Now, we normally try to avoid the whole Rick Dyer saga, but our guests today have a lot to offer the real Bigfoot community. So we just had to take this opportunity to get the inside scoop from the people who were there. Today we have two special guests, Mr. Dale Boswell and Mr. Andrew Clacy. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Hey.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
Now, I think it's a good idea to start off by letting everybody know what each of your roles were with Team Tracker, so they know where you're coming from as the conversation progresses. Dale, we'll start with you. Dale, what was your role?
Well, I'm not sure about the use of the word role, but as far as being a tracker, it's something that I it's been about a year now, actually, when I saw the tent video, and actually at that time I didn't know too much about Rick Dyer, if I even knew his name at all. You know, it's very little, but I saw the tent video, and that it really fascinated me to a point. It took me back to earlier childhood when I was really into the Bigfoot thing and all the paranormal stuff. But I started Rick shows, and that eventually led me up to calling the show and talking to Rick. Then it just fell into place there. I helped with majority of the graphics design, building logos, anything pertaining to that. And I was a president at one time, which that's not anything like you were voted on. It's basically, you wake up one morning and there it is, which was a big honor.
Sure.
And I made a lot of good friends there on Team Tracker. And to this day, it may be wrong, but I separate Team Tracker from Rick Dyer. And Team Tracker is a group of my friends, and they are some of the greatest people in the world, some of the best Bigfoot researchers in the world, in my opinion. And so, if it was a role, then my role was being a friend to Rick and everyone there on Team Tracker, and hoping to bring this discovery of a lifetime, to the world, which
Sure.
is what we all thought at the time, and right up to the end, is right on up to the tour. I believe that it was real, the body was real, and even now, even now, there's a part of me that says, okay, Rick Dyer did have a Bigfoot encounter. I believe that. I'm not sure now as to when and where, what date, if he shot one, just saw one, killed one, or what. But something tells me that he did actually encounter at one time. But anyway, I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. And don't feel bad, because I think a lot of people, there's still some people, I won't say a lot, there's still some people out there who still believe him anyway. How about you, Andrew? What was your role?
My role was basically in the end I was second in charge, and like Dale, I came on through the tent video, believe it was real, and we'll discuss more about that later. We spent a lot of time in Hangouts, and then off the Hangouts was a lot of things said to us which really increased our belief in the whole thing. But I basically made Bigfoot Today website and made some videos for him, and then I negotiated business deals for him. I contacted the media. I did the tours on the tour of the body, the dummy as it is now, and basically I did a lot of the stuff that brought in the money. Got the venues and worked out a bit of the planning route. Me and Link did that together. So that was my role. Was a bit of the only thing I didn't really do was drive the bus or use his toilet, because it was disgusting.
All right, fair enough. Hey, now you mentioned you were with Dyer all the way from the beginning, from when he first picked up the body. Now I know you weren't with him at his house, but you were already with Rick Dyer when that happened. When did you catch up with Rick? When did you first get with Rick?
I was me and Chris Sands were one of the earliest members of Team Tracker, if you like, and I remember going away on a business trip to Melbourne and I came back and he was like very angry at me that I hadn't logged in for a while, and I was like, "What's this about? Like, what's this anger for?" So I thought, I'll try and be there more often, and there was a lot of pressure. Outs. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, but I get my question more is when did you get here to the States? And be with him?
Yeah. I got to the States in about the 17th of December, mid-December, but before Christmas of 2013.
And when did he pick up the body? He picked up the body on the...
about the 31st or just before New Year's Eve.
Okay.
Or the 30th, something like that.
All right, good deal.
Yeah, maybe the 30th. It was a couple of days before New Year's Eve of...
Sure. Now, during this time, what was happening with Team Tracker at this time? Because I know at one point there was a complete restructure of Team Tracker. Was that during this time or was that later?
Well, yeah, he put Link in charge of Team Tracker, and gave Link instructions, or barked Link instructions is more to the point. And so he wanted, I guess he was probably setting us up without us really then, like trying to get us to get more roles, so if in the future he could, deflect some blame, which I think is what he's been doing ever since he's been found out.
Absolutely. How about you, Dale? When did you get with Rick?
When I first met him was like I say, it was almost a year ago, when it was through the Hangouts, basically like Andrew. The tent video, like I said, got, and I went from there, watching the shows to calling in once in a while, and talking to back then Pink was there, and she was very kind to me. She, as was some of the others that left, just right after I got there. But being an entertainer all my life, I always want to be backstage. It's just something to do with a musician and entertainer. You just want to be backstage. That's
Sure.
why you're the entertainer guy. Just getting involved with Rick, it was an honor at the time to know him personally and to believe everything that was going on was. I look now and see how gullible I was, and as far as structure, from the start it seems like there was, and this is all looking back now, but it seems there was always structure going on. And I look back now and I see now that Rick was analyzing everyone to some degree, and I guess building all this up. I don't know whether he has a body and thought he was actually going to get it, and something happened where he messed that up, and that is why he had to make a fake one to keep on, with what he was, the lies I guess he was maintaining, or the truth. I don't know which one it is. I don't know which one to believe now.
Sure.
But I think that's what he did, as far as picking out the ones that would not only follow him, but that was not a threat to him.
Right.
And keep a secret, because he would tell one thing and tell another one another thing, and if someone ever found out, he'd know. I don't know. He may have kept a list. I don't know, but he would have known. And just out of respect, I never would tell anyone else something that he told me not to tell. And I asked very few questions about anything. At the time, like I say, it was an honor for me to just be there, because I haven't been into Bigfoot research that long, and there's a whole lot of people out there that know a whole lot more than I do, and if this was the real deal, there's a lot of people that deserved to be in on it more than I did.
Sure.
But now I'm glad that they didn't, and even though I hate how it turned out, and it was wrong, and I was gullible. Maybe that was one of the points he looked for, and I've noticed everyone that was basically on the tour were people that could afford to spend that time with him. Majority of the rest of the team, regular, jobs and families and things they had to keep up with, and I'm basically retired. So like Rick asked me, what you going to do with the rest of your life? He says that often, basically like on the Shooting Bigfoot movie, and I was like, well, I want to bring this Bigfoot to the world, stand behind you all the way, and that's what I believed up until I think it was February the 21st when it was my chance to actually. And that's when I really had a suspicion going on that something, like Andrew, like something's not right here. But still, there was a part of me that wanted to believe.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, when you've been drug around for so long, you feel like if it's not true, then you look bad. You don't want to look bad, so you convince yourself it's real. I don't think that's so far fetched. But that
is absolutely true. And I look back now and. I like Craig. I don't like to use the word haters, because to me that's a really term, to label anyone. But it's just people who had different opinions than we did. And I look back now, and they were right. I was the gullible old fool that I should have paid more attention. I was just blinded, and I'm not blaming anyone but myself. Mm-hmm. It was the choices were mine to make, and I just, I made the wrong choices, and I look back
the choices were made on lies to you, Dale, though. That's the problem. There was a large level of lies and promises made that have never been delivered on the other end. You're going to come and see a real Bigfoot body. Well, I haven't seen one.
Well, Dale, you make a good point there. A minute ago, you touched on something that Rick kind of made a comment on yesterday, and I want to read this to you. What he said. Rick said, and I quote, it was stated that he improved all of your lives. So Rick made the comment that he improved everybody's lives that was a part of him. Dale, did he improve your life?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, to a point of, and I know this sounds silly and stupid, but to a point of giving me something to look forward to the next day. And I say this because, and I found that several Team Tracker members, we have this in common, and we come from a dark place. There was something going on in our lives where we needed somebody, we and that's where I was. And just to make the long story short, in 2011, I had some surgery to my neck because I have a degenerative disc disease. Mm-hmm. So, you basically got 7 vertebrae in your neck. I've got 5 of mine fused together with a titanium plate and 10 titanium screws. So this was during a time of in my career when things were really going well. I was getting airplay, not like I wanted, but it was, as far as being big time, it was about as big time as I was going to ever get. Sure. I had just signed a major management contract out of Branson, Missouri, that was going to take me out of the nightclubs and put me in the bigger concert venues, pertaining to a song I wrote and recorded called My Soldier Prayer, which was getting a lot of attention worldwide. And so they were going to book me on some USO tours and things such as that. And, as I was geared up, just like, that was my break. If I had a break, that was it. Then, the surgery on my neck, and I didn't know beforehand, and I guess my doctor didn't know either, or he would have said something, or maybe he told me and I missed it. But apparently, something between the titanium plate and scar tissue was pressing up against my vocal box. So as far as singing anymore, it was over. I had no range whatsoever. I could barely talk, and that got better, but still the range is just like if I tried to sing, it's like somebody had their hands around my throat. I couldn't sing "Old MacDonald Had a Farm." So just so here it is. To answer your question, I was very depressed. Here it was, my chance, and it was gone just in overnight, basically overnight. I woke up the next morning and it was gone. And so that music had been my whole life. That and my kids and my family, but my be something for my kids. I want them to be proud.
Sure.
But it, and none of this was Rick's fault, like I say, but he was that person that brought me out of that depression and gave me, like I say, something to look forward to every day. So yes, absolutely, he possibly saved my life.
Okay. How about you, Andrew?
Absolutely not. I totally disagree with that statement. Except for meeting the guys, like I enjoyed meeting them, like they're real people and good friends, like Dale and Robin and Craig and Link and Muskie and whoever else I met. But I feel the same as Link said in his statement. He addressed that absolutely in no way did Rick Dyer, improve my life. He said it backwards. He wasted my time in 2013. He brought me over to America on business, and I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate the way he did it. There's nothing honest about that, and I'm not used to this level of deception. My friends and I in Australia, my real friends, aren't dishonest people. So when Rick is saying his word and he swears on his family that he has a Bigfoot, I take him on his word.
Sure.
That's another layer of the onion that got peeled on there. And when he says to me, "Oh, Andrew, I wouldn't do this to you, your family, or my family," it's real. This is before I come. And then after I come, you said the same thing. Like, when I question, I wouldn't do this to you. Do you think I'd do this? Of course I wouldn't. So he got me there on a lot of lies and a lot of deception, which started in the hangouts of 2013.
Sure. And we're seeing an early pattern of deception, and so now I'm going to go on to the next step. Now, Andrew, you're here in the States. It's the end of December, and he tells you, "Let's go pick up the body." How's that go?
Okay, the night before we left, he said to me, "Andrew, I don't have clearance for you to get in." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, I couldn't get the paperwork." I said, "Surely you knew I was coming." He said, "Yeah, but I couldn't get it." And I wasn't really happy with him. So we had a bit of an argument because I wanted to be there, because at that stage I thought, and I thought it was real for a long time, actually, unfortunately. But to me, it was a part of history. And how could he make such a mistake of not having the paperwork? And he said, "We're going to have to drop you off at Walmart while me and Link go and pick up the body." And my mood on the way up wasn't great, because I felt something was amiss. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know exactly. And he was he's starting to pick, and he does that. He picks at, and both me and Link, and we just try to laugh it off. But we got up there in Spokane, and it was snowing. So he drops me off at Walmart, and I was there for about I sat in McDonald's, and then I walked around Walmart for a while. I was there for about 90 minutes. So I just started doing a selfie, and I was doing a video, which I had no intention of mentioning Bigfoot or mentioning Rick or anything. It just happened to come back in the time I was filming.
Sure.
So disputants saying that we were filming different scenarios. Like, what does that mean? And clearly anyone that sees that video can tell that. Now, I was surprised to see him coming up the road. Like, so I turned the video on him and we got it, baby. The reason why he's lied there is because he's trying to make it sound like I knew all along, which is clearly not the case. I didn't know all along. And the reasons are I didn't know because I did my job.
Right.
And he's been out in public forum back from America saying that I did a great job contacting all the media. Now he's dismissing that. So
yeah,
there's no way in hell I would have left Australia on a fake body. There's no way I would have told my family I'm going to do this if it wasn't a fake body. There's no way I would have called the media, my friends in the media in Australia, my local media. I'm embarrassed to walk around my hometown now because of me calling the media in case someone says, "Aren't you that guy?" Because of Rick Dyer. So why would I do that to myself if I was in on it all the time? Clearly I would not have. And that is just him trying to shift blame once again for his own lies and mistakes because he was found out.
Sure.
And I think and just to clarify one thing, Ed, is
sure.
As far as me saying that a few of us come from a dark place, there was a lot of Team Tracker members, and I know one or two that had some problems, as far as it may not have been as bad as mine. I hope not, but we're depressed and needed that place to go. But there's others. Majority of them, the people there in Team Tracker, were just everyday, good, hard-working people that believed in Bigfoot and wanted to be a part of this thing as well, and just be to have a front row seat to everything, and so and the ones like Andrew and Link, they're business people. They gave up their lives to come over here and help Rick as far as the business end of it, even though they did it and all believing that the body was real, or Rick actually had a body and was going to bring it to the public. So there's so many scenarios in here, but the bottom line is that, as far as I know, no one in Team Tracker knew that the body was that this was going to be a hoax. I mean, no one, as far as I know, knew, or they weren't talking about it. But I believe no one knew, and that's just how good Rick was, as far as manipulating people and pointing them in whatever direction it is he wanted them to see.
Sure, and there's no doubt that it's something that he planned, and Andrew, I think you make a good point when you mention he had planned it so far ahead, and that he was so prepared to take that ride that he even acted like he didn't have your paperwork, So what you're telling me a bit, and
well, Link's verified it. He was there. And
yes, and Chris
Russell's. Otherwise, why would I be in the car at Chris Russell's house? He was clearly trying to hide me from the truth.
Sure.
So another lie exposed. Why does he say that? That's just wrong of Rick, and he knows the truth. If he's listening to this right now, he knows in his heart that everything that we've said and everything that Link said was correct in Link's statement too. So he knows it to be real.
And that's what a pathological liar does. They tell one lie to cover up another, and then they have to tell another lie to cover up that lie, and goes on and on and on into a vicious circle.
Yeah, because when you're in a hole, you should stop digging. But Rick just keeps digging, and he's still digging. Just to get away from the fact of what he's done. I mean, if you want to look at it, it really started behind the scenes in 2013, the Hangouts, when after the official show stopped, he was telling us things that we absolutely believe, and like little secrets, and that little things like just telling you stuff about the body and about the different people have seen it, and he was the way he did that made you believe it higher.
Sure.
So I understand what people say, Andrew, you should have known from the word go. Well, I didn't. And when I saw the body, I was disappointed. And he said, well, they didn't do a good job taxiderming it. And,
Exactly.
when you have... Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with you absolutely, Andrew. And just for the record, everything Andrew has stated is from the day I've ever met him. He's never told a lie. He's very truthful, and everything he's stating today is as far as I know 100% true. And I do feel sorry for Andrew and Link, for getting so deeply tied up in this, and I wish I could change it. Because it's so wrong. But I just want to just make a point, one thing too, before we go much further. Just for you folks out there that's listening, don't pay no attention to my Alabama accent. I can't help it. That's just the way it is. I've been a singer most of my life, and I have a problem being a speaker, just speeches, because when you're a singer, you got your songs that they laid out for you. But Andrew and you are such great speakers. I can listen and nod, but no one would know I was nodding unless you told him I was.
I think, I think you I like what you're touching on there, and I appreciate the compliment, and I'm sure Andrew does well.
Thanks.
I think it's important to be able to get out what you need to get out, and your point is this is not rehearsed. This is something that you guys feel and you guys want to get out to the public because it's important. The public needs to know, and I think that's important.
You'll find that our stories will remain the same. We don't have to lie to discredit Rick. He has to lie to discredit us. Our stories will remain the same because it's the truth.
Sure.
And as I said, not any of my friends, and I have friends, which is more than Rick's got, and there's a reason for that. And I read was 95% of people end up hating Rick, and when I read that, I was like, oh man, that really 95%? But now I can see
that's all.
Because he's not a very nice person. Like, this is bordering on criminal activities, what he's doing.
Sure.
To deflect blame, and so he's been caught he said he outed himself, which is simply not the case. He looked into my emails, he saw that I was onto him, saw that I wasn't happy, so he thought, well, I'm going to blow this up, and one of his reverse strategies that he does to reverse on everyone, because when he posted screenshots on his Facebook wall, everything he posted was 100%. But he would say, well, if that, I wouldn't have done that if I posted it. Well, that's just one of his reverse strategies. Of course he did it. He's not a very nice person, and I couldn't do what he's done to somebody, like to set me up from this high out to get me believing, and we come over to help this man on now what is big lies. And we work jobs. He doesn't pay us. He works us very hard. He doesn't give us time off. We can't even go to a motel room to rest. He's almost got us hostage on a bus. So you think about this, like on his little bus, the roach coach. I can't escape to my house. I don't have money because my business is dried up. He told me I would have time to work on my business. That wasn't true. And so I'm almost hostage. I have to rely on him to feed me. He fed me well. I have no qualms with how he fed me. But I couldn't escape. I didn't live in the States, nor did Link. So it was almost a hostage situation. And he treated us very poorly, in Hitler type of, get up, do this. Like, just really poor treatment of people who come over to help you. But the worst part is after we've come out and we're not happy with the way he treated us, he then turns it all onto us and say, well, you know, they were in on it, and they did this and they did that when we didn't, just to make us look bad. And all we did is to help him, and we come over with open, kind hearts, and he cleared us.
Well, and again, that falls into that persona of a pathological liar, and I will say this real quick, that Chris Russell, actually a stand-up guy. That, I mean, the guy, you got to respect him coming forward and being as honest as he was being. But he corroborated your story. You know that even though Rick said you were there and everything else, Chris Russell said no, there was just one person with him, and that person's description met Link's. So
yeah. Well, that just goes to show his intent is to just throw me under the bus and make it sound like we're all part of the hoax when we were not. It was his idea. It was a stupid idea, considering his background. And after I saw my final layer happen when I was back in Australia, after I saw the end of shooting Bigfoot, I saw massive holes in his official story, and that's when the final piece. At that point, I still believe he did have a body, and it's on record because he replayed one of my conversations on my account with Link, and I said then I think he's still got a body, and but now after seeing shooting Bigfoot, the major thing is just those who haven't seen the end of the movie, have a look at the end of the movie, see him arguing with Morgan Matthews about the video, and
yes.
The way he spoke to Morgan Matthews, I saw him speak to Craig, Dale, myself, Muskie, Link, everyone on that bus was there to help him in that manner many times. So he speaks to people like absolute dirt and pigs. So the point is, that video clearly shows that he was not with a couple of Bigfoot bodies. He would not care less if there was any tape, any video, because if you got bodies in the back of your truck that morning, like he's always said that was official story, you'd be with them. You would not be arguing about the ownership of the video. So clearly something's amiss there, and I would say he may have seen a Bigfoot, and he is probably, with Morgan Matthews proof, I can actually pretend that I actually shot one. And you see him hobble off, and you know he doesn't look very fit. I doubt he would have been able to catch a Bigfoot. They would have got away from him. He's pretty unfit, and the way he walks and moves in that video, I just shook my head and went, "Oh my God, you did not shoot one. There's no way known this clown. You set us up from a long way. You deserve. You deserve to rot."
Well, that's been my theory all along, and that is that he took advantage of having Morgan Matthews with him and staged that, and that's just been my opinion. But do you think the Morgan Matthews film, do you think that was a part of the hoax, or do you think that that actually happened, but it was all Rick, not Morgan Matthews?
Well, either way, I doubt he's got a body. So
sure.
I'm not sure. Some part of me, I mean, you watch it, and some part of me, you hear the howls that happened beforehand. That looks convincing. But
well, you know, Andrew, you know, we've talked about this before, and I think if we disagree on anything, it would be that. But you know, I think there's a body somewhere. I don't think it was killed on that day. You know, that's, you know, because even at the end of the movie, it states something about Rick went back to San Antonio and accomplished his goal, whether that was to make a hoax or to actually find one. And even, you know, and I sound like I'm defending him, but I'm not. I'm defending, you know, Bigfoot, because I believe Bigfoot is real, you know. But he also mentions that something about him and a sidekick released their own Bigfoot footage. And the thing is, it does not say alleged Bigfoot footage. So there is so much mystery that still surrounds Rick and Morgan. You know, all it would take is these two people, just two people, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth. And all of this, as far as Rick killing a Bigfoot, would be solved.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Well, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break real quick. When we return, we'll talk more about how Rick treated the people on the Roach Coach, and we also want to get into. We're recording. Welcome back to part 2. I do want to make a point here real quick, guys, that anyone listening who wants to read Link's statement, you can find that at Bigtruth blog, one word, .blogspot.com. That's BIGTRUTHBLOG .BLOGSPOT.com. And I strongly urge as many people interested to go read that, because it's a very good statement made by Link. And it's
100% real. Well, Link's statement is real.
I was getting ready to point that out.
It's actually been kind to Rick. It was actually worse. When you read the statement, understand that Link could have gone harder and was actually worse. So try and wrap your mind around that the situation was worse than what you're actually reading.
Sure. All right, we're going to pick up basically where we left off. Now, we're in Spokane. The body's been picked up. Martin, he says, "Hey, we got it, baby. We got it." Where do you guys go from there? What happens next?
Okay, we get in the car and we're tired. Like, you've got to understand, I was tired when I arrived, and I didn't get much sleep in his house. It's a very noisy house. The kids are up very, very late. The TV's on loud all night, and my sleeping wasn't fantastic. So I'm tired. Now, Rick still wasn't happy with Rick, and I wasn't happy with the quality of the taxidermy either. Well, that's fine.
Sure.
So Rick started playing games with me in terms of, I'm in the back seat of the FJ. I'm 6'3", so I'm slightly taller than Rick, but he puts the seat back as far as you can go. Now, I am completely squashed for hundreds of miles, and if I mention anything, I'm bitching and whinging, bitching and whining in his words. Like, who does that? I was completely a cruel thing to do to somebody, and I've no idea. Link can testify, and I don't know why he did that. So we get back and we make repairs to the body back in his garage.
Now, when you say make repairs to the body, what?
To the box. Sorry, to the box.
Okay.
You know, did it up, put the cloth over it, try to make it more presentable.
Okay. At this time, did it already have the glass over the top?
Oh yeah, the glass was over the top. I didn't see. You know, he certainly. I mean, he stated in his video that he pulled the body out 3 times. Well, if he pulled it out, it certainly wasn't in front of us. So we asked him to have it pulled out, but he refused, because what we wanted to do was get a full-size photo of it so people could stand next to it. One of my marketing ideas on the tour. But he refused that. So I don't know why he's now saying he pulled it out, trying to discredit us. I don't know. Anyway, so we're in Spokane, and he's putting pressure on me to call the media. So I call the media. He's doing a lot of radio interviews. Now, some of them are at 6 a.m. in the morning because they're this, and he has to have someone up with him. So it's like he needs his hand held all the time. Like I don't know why. And so then you're up for the rest of the day, and or if you sleep into 8 o'clock, you're seen to be you're not on his. You're on his dime. Like there's a lot of pressure on you just to be present for him and ready to jump. So a lot of media, I'm calling media on the pretense that this is real. Now, we also have some business people come, and I'm so embarrassed because some of the, let me say, high-level business people came, they inspected the body. Their belief in it helped strengthen my belief, because them smarter guys than I am were saying, well, this is real, and I, I had no doubt that at that stage it was real. And the level of deception, because he needed money, he was years behind paying maintenance for one of his child support, so he took advantage of one of the business people and made them pay for his child support that was in the rear for. And this is what a lot of people don't see. And the level of lies he made to borrow a sum of money, I'm not going to mention how much, made you honestly believe that it's real, because someone wouldn't be that stupid to make such big promises. That I'll get more medical evidence. You can meet the people above me. You can, I'll have certificate of ownership coming your way. So you make massive promises based on, you already believe it. Based on that strengthens your belief on the tour. You don't think that this person would put themselves in financial jeopardy on such big promises. So for him to say that I was in on it is a complete lie, because I wouldn't have called these people and made some business negotiations. So he wants to do this tour, and we advise him not to. He's got other options. I said, just get some more evidence. He's made a promise to these other people that the press conference is going to happen February the 9th. So I'm happy about that. I think, great, get some evidence. But I don't see him on the phone or on the internet making, contacting people to get more evidence. So I keep saying to him, get some more evidence. And we have words about that, because no one on Team Trackers to mention evidence anymore. Then eventually he says, guys, it doesn't look like we'll have any evidence. It's been delayed. The university has put it behind, so he's still bullshitting to us.
Sure.
So I've got to now turn around and say to the media, well, this is not happening. The media conference, and they're saying, well, when is it? I said, I don't know, because you don't know, because Rick said, oh, don't put any date on it. So Link and I strongly advise him not to start the tour, not to do it the way he did, but it's clear, and now I know why it's clear, that he had to do it his way and his way only. And he had to go to Daytona, and against our advice. In the end, we just said, right, we'll do it your way, because we were sick of getting into daily battle with him.
Sure.
Now, there were days when we went to open a bank account, but we said, Rick, tomorrow we're going to open a bank account. And then it would make us so busy that we never got the chance to open a bank account. Now I see why. Because he had no intention of paying us. So he kept us busy with crap and taking us away. They had to keep us together so we wouldn't separate us. And I got diarrhea probably, I think, through Lily's cooking. And I was sick with a fever. And I got a fever, and he went and purchased the RV from America, from Orlando or somewhere in Florida with Link. They flew, paid $13,000 for it, which astounded me, because he kept telling people, "I just paid $100,000 for that."
Yeah.
Why would you say that to somebody? So he spent about $13,000 of money, of which he lied about. There was lies built that the way he got that was very wrong, and I'm not going to implicate. There's a person that I'm just not going to implicate, but they haven't done anything wrong. They were just ripped off by Dyer.
Right.
So I said, look, that's a poor business decision, because the cost in hotel room. And he didn't want that. He wanted us to be under his eye. He wanted us on the bus. It was his dream. We all hated the thought of being on that bus.
Sure.
Hated it. And I remember saying to Link, can you imagine how bad it is when we're going to be under his eyes all the time? And we were shaking our heads. And so he brings the bus back. He gets a big trailer, under deception once again. Puts it in his name. It doesn't belong to him. We do it up, and there's, oh my God, he spent stuff that he didn't need to spend. We kept telling him not to do it, but he kept getting deeper and deeper. And now here's the part that makes me sick to the bone. And this has never been, you got an exclusive here.
All right.
He made Link and I sign a document that we would be responsible for a third of the debt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when we said we don't want to sign this. He said, "Oh, you're in or not? Do you believe me?" I said, "Well, we're in, but to our countries with no assets and a third of the debt." Now, I've since been told that me and Link will not be held responsible for a third of the debt. But this is, like, I'm believing this is real, and I've still got the documents to prove all this too. He didn't delete those out of my account.
Sure.
So,
How did that?
so he set us up, and that is so sick when he knows it's a fake body. He knows that there is no payday in this. Like, this is wrong.
Now, did that document also say that he would get a third of any money that came in?
No, it was all about the debt. We never had anything in writing. He said I had a 2-year contract with him in a previous statement. What? We tried to get stuff done, and he avoided us. He avoided actions like that. Oh my God, I can't believe. And you got to understand, he's throwing everyone under the bus to put the attention off his own evil scheme. So from the haters at the same time, and as I agree with Dale, I don't like the word haters, but because now they're the truth people, and I'm not after their sympathy. I'm just trying to put the record straight. So we start the tour, and I want to go see the Grand Canyon. He won't go there. I said, well, I may never see it again, and it was only 30, 40 months, but he doesn't do it. The whole situation in the house was bad too, but I won't. That's another story. So we end up, get a contact with the Alien Convention in Phoenix. They wanted us there. Over the weekend, something happened, and then they didn't want us there. And Rick's saving face by saying, we rejected them. Well, it's not the case. That didn't happen. Another lie.
I recall that, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why he lied, but he just lies about everything. The only thing you can rely on, that any word he says is basically a lie. That's the only reliable thing about Rick Dyer. So we get to a fork somewhere in we had to either go left to Albuquerque or right to Phoenix. Now, I had media lined up in Phoenix. The venue was taken of our place. So Rick, in typical Rick Dyer fashion, says, well, screw that, we're going to Albuquerque now. I said, what? Yeah, we're off to Albuquerque. I have nothing lined up in Albuquerque. There is no venue in Albuquerque. But the pressure on me in that bus to find the way he spoke to me, I am getting barked at like Hitler orders to find a venue. Half the time there's no reception. Then it's embarrassing. He's not making a call. He's too gutless to make a business call. That's why he needed us there. That's why he needed us to believe that the body was real. So we do all this work for him. Right. So, I couldn't get a venue. People saying, oh, you could have called us with notice. I need at least a week's notice minimum or more. So it's really embarrassing. So we turn up with the greatest discovery of all time without any permission at the zoo there. One media people turn up. One media. And, what could I do? No one had any notice.
Sure.
So we go to a Walmart car park that night, and this is where another lie comes out, where he's told people earlier that I've just bought a Corvette, and clearly not true. I've just made $8,000 at the flea market today. Hadn't made a cent on the body before that night at Albuquerque, with this tall gentleman with his son come out and paid Rick $20. That was the first time anyone had made money from the body, and that was on the way out of Albuquerque.
On the way out of Albuquerque?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So at this stage, I still think the body's real. And then we got to this road in Texas, and they gave Rick a hard time. And the radio come out, and they basically, when he came in the studio, they blew him up. And now I look back at, they were correcting what they were saying was in the line, in the wrong. But I was defending Rick, thinking, well, clearly it's not real. I've seen the medical evidence, but medical evidence now is just some Photoshop of the clay model or something. I don't.
Right.
But apparently I made it. What the hell? Of course I didn't make it. Another lie to discredit me. Anyway, so we get tension in the camp is not good. I am really unhappy because I've got clients saying, why aren't you working on my business? I said, look, I'm in a situation in America. I can't work on your business. A lot of the time I didn't have internet connection, or he would simply not allow you. You'd have to be doing stuff for him 24/7, 7 days a week. Right. We were working 7 days a week and long hours. Yes, he did feed us. Yes, but at what expense? And so after this radio interview, we headed towards Kate. Kate. And this is where I guess Skylar and the guys and the people from Randy Filipovic's blog started tracking down Chris Russell. Now, I was next to Rick when he received the call. Rick was driving and I was on the passenger side. Now, Rick was really calm, but I knew it was somebody involved in the whole thing. But he never... His demeanour was... his demeanour was quite calm and collected, which is strange. He then said to us, you know, guys, and this is documented by the other guys on the bus too. They can back this up.
Okay.
He said something like, you know, I've just been told that the body there, the taxidermy body, may not be real. I mean, what? It could be a switch or a partial switch. What do you mean partial switch? Well, the hands and feet might be fake, or part of the body. Surely they won't cut up a Bigfoot like that. And so check it. So we go out. Now, I touched the bottom of the feet a few weeks earlier, and when I touched it, it did feel like skin. It was cold and clammy, and it gave me shivers, and that helped me believe. So I didn't press the toes. I sort of touched my fingers down the bottom of the feet and went, ugh.
Sure.
I don't know what a taxidermy Bigfoot feels like, or any taxidermy animal feels like.
Right.
So I thought it was... So we pull over, and he stays on the bus with Craig and says some certain stuff to Craig, but it's not for me to say. I get out with Link. Rick follows us a few minutes later, and basically I touched the toes. And I squeezed them and it felt like fun rumba, and I was starting to freak out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in trouble, I'm saying that to the other guys, we're in trouble, I'm in trouble, we're in trouble, because it's the first time I put some doubt in what I was feeling, what I was touching. And Rick reached in touch and goes, you know what, this may not be real, I don't know what it is. And I'm like, well, what is it, Rick? He said, oh, I don't know. It could be real, but we'll go on as if it is real. I said, well, at this stage, this is where my second level kicked in, and the first part of the trip was, it's real. The second part of the trip is, well, it could be real, it may not be real. Is it partly real? What is it? I don't know. So that was, most of the trip was done under those pretenses. So we get to Paris, Texas, sorry. We went to Paris, Texas, and a doctor came on the bus and verified. He went through and said, and people have seen the doctor video. That was not staged. That helps you believe when the doctor's saying, "Well, this is going on," and right then and then, even though I touch the body, I'm starting to think, well, it's be somewhere. It's just this may not be it. I don't know what's going on. So a woman comes in and says she's got a Bigfoot problem. She has 7 Bigfoot been attacked, and because we had nothing booked in Dallas, and he'll say we had to cancel something, that will say, but we didn't cancel anything because nothing was booked. And we went out to this lady's place in Minola. Incidents happened. Rick has debunked it all, but you can believe Rick or you can believe the rest of us. And stuff actually happened. He said that he was throwing rocks on the bus. There's only one exit on the road. That was in front of me and Link, and he certainly didn't walk past either of us that night. He was in the back all night, so he wasn't out throwing rocks. It's just a complete lie and impossible to do. So he was in a hurry to leave, and I questioned. I was like, why are you leaving? There's clearly Bigfoot activity. I've got photos of structures. We got attacked at night. Long story. I'll let Link talk about that. But I wanted to stay because it was fun and exciting, and you had a Bigfoot experience. You don't want to go. I think, why do you want to go, Rick? There's 4 days to your next thing. Oh, we've got to film a movie. You know, he had me filming that night, and he had, like, you know, before we get there, he's yelling at me like a pig. Like, you get to know this camera. You get to know it. I said, I don't need to. And we had a massive argument. The way he spoke to me, he didn't understand he knew the fact I was a professional cameraman. I'm a classified A-grade cameraman. I don't need to look at a camera and work out how to turn it on. And
right.
I knew all the basics what I needed to do. And he was treating me like an absolute amateur, and it was so degrading how he spoke to me. So, anyway, getting back to, he wanted to leave, and we wanted to stay. But now, since recent conversations with Link and a few other guys, it turns out he was probably afraid of Jason Judd coming that day. Because Jason's a real stand-up guy with high credentials, and I think Jason would have blown apart that, and we all left the bus at that stage. He didn't want Jason to blow it apart. He needed us to keep believing as long as he could so we could do his dirty work. Mm-hmm. So he left. That's the only reason he left, because it was 4 or 5 days before the San Antonio event. You know, one of the first things is, you know, oh, they abandoned me. You know, of course they abandoned him. They were glad to get off. They were treated poorly on that bus. And so, you know, who can we get? Let's give Dale a call. And Dale, I connected straight away when Dale, a month early, and I was glad because I faced this all alone. We had a hillside together in San Antonio.
I'm kind of losing you there, Andrew. Dale, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you remember the call Andrew gave you?
I do, absolutely. And I was really excited at the time. Still, believing and not knowing, any of the behind the scenes before, because Rick didn't do any hangouts or anything like that while they were on the road. And actually, before, and this is backing up just a little bit, but just before Andrew and Link came to America, we were having hangouts just about every night, and all hours, and we were excited, but once Andrew and Link got here, they stopped, and in the comment, just like, well, I guess we're not that important no more because Rick's got somebody to play with now, but anyway, yeah, when they called me, when Andrew called, I was really excited because I'm thinking, oh wow, this is really a front row seat, sure. To be right there on the tour and just watch, just from behind the scenes and up front all at the same time. So Rick called and or Andrew called. Actually, I forgot what day it was on, but asked did I want to do it, and of course, I said, well, I really do, but let me talk this over with my wife. So I did, and I said I'll give you a call tomorrow, and we talked it over, and we both feel like this would be something I would regret. I would, if I didn't do it, I would regret it. There's no doubt about that.
Sure.
It's one of them things that you look back now and wish you hadn't. I mean, some things have happened in the past already that I look back now, the things that I should have done different. But at the time, it was the same thinking. Like, if I don't do this, I'm not gonna forgive myself. Right. So. And at the time, my health, it hasn't been real good, anyways. And I said, well, I told my wife, I said, you know what, this is going to do. This is going to get me out of the house, and this is going to get me in a situation where I have no choice but to work. And basically, I said, I'm going to get healthier, or I'm going to die. One or the other, And and it sounds, patting Rick on the back again, but I'm not. It's just the whole thing together, Andrew, and the whole situation. The tour itself is what I think. Okay, give me a chance to get some health back, and it did. And it's because of the wrong reasons, because we didn't have time to eat, or he wouldn't let us rest that much. But I did lose some weight, and there's a lot of things I did give up that I wanted to, not because it was a choice, because there was nothing on the bus, like diet drinks, coffee, donuts, just all that kind of stuff. I basically give up, and even now I don't want them. So, that had some of the that was the good part of it, but all in all, it wasn't a very good experience. Just like Andrew said, felt hostage to some degree. You ate when he said eat, and you got up when he said get up, and you went to bed when he said, it's time to go to bed. But yes, so he did. He stated he gave me a ticket, which was the $200 for a bus ticket to go from Alabama to meet him there in San Antonio, which he did. He paid for that. And so when I got there, I was really all excited and raring to go, and I wanted to help handle the merchandise end of it. So I did, and I guess as far as the tour part of it, I guess that was the best part, as far as, if you want to call it best, as far as actually people showing up, because like Andrew said before, wasn't too many people coming around, but these venues in San Antonio and Houston and Katy were sold out, and so I was excited to be there at that time, and Andrew is just one of my best friends in the whole world. Anyway, and even I've just, even though it's been a while since I had met him, just came to America, but that was exciting just to be there with Andrew and Rick.
Sure.
During this time. So, so we went from there and to Katy, and I probably drove, because I drove quite a bit, which I didn't mind. Of course, I didn't know where I was going, and it was kind of, it was kind of a, even though I owned a tour bus that was basically the same length, 42 foot, I've never driven one with such a big trailer behind it. So
sure,
it was a little scary, and I never will forget. It's not funny, but I look back now and say, well, that was funny, but I don't know why you said that. But I just remember stating to Rick that, I said, you sure we don't want to go somewhere back roads? Let me practice on this thing a little bit, turning and backing. And he said, no. He said, basically, here's one thing you got to remember. If you're going to hit something, hit it hard. And then I kind of laughed it off. But then he mentioned somebody's got good insurance, which of course I wouldn't have done anything like that. But we went on to from there to Katy,
All right.
and that
Hey,
was.
hey, Dale,
Oh, go ahead.
we're going to go ahead and take a break here real quick. And when we come back, we're going to get into what happened when you got to Katy. And I guess there was some things that happened between. All right, welcome back to part 3 of our X-Team Tracker fiasco here. Dale, you were talking about on your way to Katy, but before we go any farther, Andrew, do you mind if we back up and go back to Mineola for just a moment? Because
Sure.
I know there was a lot of things that happened in Mineola. If you could just kind of tell us about your experience there, because you actually had an encounter, I believe.
We all had an encounter
Sure.
there. It was one of the highlights of the tour. I really, it was very exciting. 3 of the 5 people who were there saw them. I was one of the 2 that heard them, and they started throwing rocks in the afternoon at us, and Link and I were standing in the corner, and we were going over some certain things, and a handful of rocks just came out of the woods. And I looked at Link, he looked at me, and there's no one else around, and Rick's behind us in the trailer, and then he called out, and then a second lot come out, and I was a lot more aware the second time. I was sort of waiting for it, and when it came out, I saw the whole trajectory, and they must have come a long way. So I started running towards the of where the rocks came, and I heard very, very heavy steps coming out from the woods there, and Rick called out, "Don't go running after them; you'll scare them away." So he knew they were there too,
Sure.
despite his, what he said lately that nothing happened there. So then we went down the back. We scouted there in the daylight. We were going to film that night, and I heard a wood knock, and so did Link. We were down the back of the property and coming from what we call the ravine. That night, strange things happened when I was filming, and Rick, sprayed us all with some deer piss without asking, and that's when stuff started happening. It was when that deer urine was sprayed on us, and shots were fired, and then another shot was fired back from the next door property, whether we scared a Bigfoot into their area. We came running around a building, and Rick jumped back with his wits and shaking, and it was funny because we were starting to say, well, this is the guy that always says he's the best Bigfoot tracker in the world, yet he's scared, like really scared of the Bigfoot. And Link and I didn't have a gun, and we were down the back with him, yet we showed a lot more courage. I was really, wondering about that. Anyway, he got scared, and he got back onto the bus, and didn't want to go back out that night. We wanted to go out. Being an ex-cameraman, I wanted to film. Sure. But he pretty much insisted that we didn't go out. It was too dangerous. And when you see that footage, and if he releases, he's going to release it in a light that'll probably say it was acting, or I don't know what he's going to say yet, but I can assure you it was, what you see will be perfectly, nothing was staged at all. And that night he fell asleep and down the back of the roach coach, and we had the road, and she could see exactly what was going on, and she was sort of warning us, like, there's a 12-foot one crawling next to the bus. You read this text message, but the thing is, you get the audio, which would match it perfectly, and the look on my face was, oh my god. You hear this scuttling noise go past as soon as she texted to us, so we clearly
something was there.
something was definitely there. Rocks getting thrown at us. He's got some security monitors. I don't know why he needs security for a fake Bigfoot, but he had the security monitors going. We saw a bit of eye shine at one stage, way down the road, Link and I. So we definitely saw some eye shine in the security monitors. But the thing is, all the action happened on the opposite side of the security monitors, almost like, except for the eye shine, it's almost like they, to avoid the cameras for some reason. So they've got intelligence. I heard some growling come in the woods behind us, and we went something like this about 4 or 5 times. It was very quiet. It was imagine hearing that at 2 a.m. right?
Wow.
So that was coming out of the woods. Now, you got tree bends. It's the spookiest woods you can ever see. Link and I we didn't get to sleep till about 4:30. Maybe it's just when rocks were hitting the top of the van. Maybe it's something from the trees outside, because it was trees. But in the morning, the first thing we did was look at the trees, and we're in this clearing. There's no way known anything could have done that to the bus.
Sure.
So the only thing, there's only one thing that could have done that, and that was Bigfoot.
So you guys had quite an experience, and that would be, I guess, that would be the highlight of the tour.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot more detail, but the guys are writing the memento down, and again, it really happened. The tree knocks, the growls, the rocks on top of the bus, and it wasn't Rick doing it. I don't know why he said that he was the one doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I read that statement. That was
It's funny because what I've noticed, and I think Dale will back this up, that he takes anything good, but anything bad or anything he blames. But in this case, he's trying to discredit us because he just wanted to play down any bit of joy that we may have had on the trip.
Sure, he didn't want to share the limelight, and I would
assume
that would be
exactly.
And so now Rick leaves Minola. Who does he leave behind, and how do they get caught back up with the rest of the group?
Well, he left behind Craig and Link, and I must say that they both were very happy. The roach coach.
I bet.
And Muskie named it the roach coach, and it suits it. It's funny because he was an absolute pig. And so yeah, we go to pick up Dale, and for me, I'm relieved because I wanted a normal person to talk to.
Sure.
It wasn't easy to have to put up with his barking orders and his crap for so long. So I was very glad that Dale, being a grounded man, was very glad that he was coming on the bus. And I was so happy. So,
okay,
but one of the first things he said, like when he was leaving, is, "Well, it's good that Link's behind, because now I can basically, in his own words, play up." Because Link, being a married man, he didn't want to play up in front of Link. So, that's one thing he was definitely doing on the tour, was playing up.
Yeah, there's been some talk of that. I don't want to bring up anybody's name who may be
name anyone.
Exactly, and I'm not even sure I really want to go into that whole issue at all, just because he does have a family, and we'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that. So Dale, now we're caught up to where you were when we took the break. You were driving, and you were on your way to Katy, Texas, and you were asking if you could maybe take some practice runs, so you can continue right where you'd like.
Yeah, actually, the practice runs I was asking before we actually left San Antonio, to kind of get a feel for the bus and how wide a turn you would need to make for the trailer that was so big.
Sure.
Pulling behind it. But anyway, to get on to Katy, we stopped at in the parking lot of a Lowe's there in Katy, and it was probably an hour and a half, 2 hours before they closed. But to the trailer to check up on things, and apparently the display case or the Hank was in was damaged. Mm-hmm. So he pulled the FJ out of there, and just being there at a Lowe's, I don't know whether how he knew it was damaged, and we just happened to end up at a Lowe's. I have no idea, but that's what happened. So it worked out right. So Andrew and I went in there to get some supplies to fix it or to help repair it. And what it was one of the boards or 2x4s on the bottom next to the feet was broken, and the lower third piece of glass or plexiglass was broken. So up until then, as far as I know, no one was allowed to actually touch the body. Even when I saw it in Vegas, and we weren't allowed to touch it. Which looks is not one thing. I mean, it's not the only thing that had me convinced it was real. Other than that, and Rick saying so, at the time, was the smell, and the body to me smelled like it was an animal that had been alive at one time,
Sure.
And so and that's one of my arguments. I would say, I'm not a scientist. I've never seen a Bigfoot. I don't know what taxidermied Bigfoot would look like, but this was a live animal at one time. What's in this case, and which apparently it was. It came out to be camel fur or camel hide or something. Which I never sniffed a camel either. So anyway, and it's not justifying my being gullible and not seeing the light. But anyway, that was the first time that I had actually an opportunity to touch it, and we were there at the feet, and actually it was Andrew, myself, and Rick, and Andrew reached down and squeezed the toe and looked up at me, and it just had that look like, okay, check this out, what you think, and nobody said a word.
Sure.
So I reached down and squeezed. And I thought, this don't feel right. This feels like foam or rubber or something. But I was at the stage where Andrew was at to start with, was like, because he hadn't mentioned anything to me about this, nor Rick, and I never asked any questions. I've always been one of those, just, I figure if somebody wants to tell me something, they'll tell me. Sure. So, anyway, Andrew looked up at me when I reached down and touched the toes, and I looked up at him and thought, this don't sound right. And actually, Rick he looked surprised at the moment, like, oh wow, at the time. And it was funny is we never said a word to each other, even throughout the rest of the tour, as for all three of us. But Andrew and I talked about it, when we would, get a chance to, to have a little privacy, and we were still, or I was, still where Andrew was thinking, well, maybe just the hands and the feet are fake. Maybe they couldn't preserve them, and maybe it's just the rest of it that is real. And I still just wanted to believe so bad. Sure. And it was then that the suspicion, just clouded my mind, just like Andrew's, and it was just like, oh wow,
Well, at this point, Rick makes a statement about this point last night, which would have been Tuesday, April 8th. He makes a statement where he said, Rick stated that the box broke for the third time between Katy and San Antonio, Texas. Dale, you knew then it was fake. That's what Rick said. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, it was then that I had what I just told you about.
Sure.
It was when we got to Katy. And that's what I was just telling you about. That's when I touched it, and my suspicions were, something's not right here. But I still wanted to believe.
You still didn't know it was fake, though, Dale.
No,
you didn't know
I didn't.
It was fake, though.
No.
So his statement of what he's accusing you of is.
Yeah, he's lying. absolutely, because I didn't know that, and tell you the truth, I'm glad didn't anyone tell me, at the time. But I didn't know it was the body was fake until the Daytona incident, and of course I was off the bus by then. But that was really what clinched it when I got the call from Andrew and Muskie that they verified that it was fake. And but up until then, I was just excited and glad to be there. And even though the treatment wasn't first class, but and basically everything Andrew said is true. And he is really a bitter guy, and I can't blame him, because that man, him and Link gave up so much to come here, and I could have got off the bus anywhere and found my way back home.
Sure.
They couldn't do that.
Absolutely.
And Rick was so mean to Andrew at times.
Well, and I've told you guys this before, and I want to mention again on the air, and that is, you guys were victims as well. It wasn't just the quote unquote haters. It was the group as a whole. I mean, when you're being lied to, and you're being deceived, and you're not given an opportunity to find out you're being deceived, how's anybody going to blame you for that? So you guys are victims as well, and I just want to point that out, that I've had an opportunity to talk to both you guys quite a bit, and I've grown to like both of you guys, and I believe everything you guys are telling me, but I just wanted to point that out. You guys are victims, and I'll let you go on. I didn't mean to to cut you off. I just felt like I had to get that out.
No, I appreciate it, Ed, and you're a great guy, and we enjoy talking to you, and you're gonna be a superstar in this field before it's over, man. But we appreciate the opportunity to come on here and tell some of the things that went on. There's so much, we'd be here all night long, especially Andrew, because he's really been here, with from the start. But
and that's why he's thrown me under the bus the most, because I had to put up with most of his stuff. I know most of his rubbish, and that's why he's attacked me the hardest, because I know more about him, and he really, I think he does mention some of the things, and yeah.
And I want to touch on that, because Andrew, you make a great point there. You said, he comes at me the hardest. Why do you think that is? I mean, I know you just said because you know more than the other guys do. You know more about him than the other guys did. Mm-hmm. But it seems to me like that would cause him to come at you the least, because you've got more to come back with. You know what I mean? So
yeah, well, that's Rick Dyer thinking. It's one of his reverse strategies where he reverses blame, and he discredits us too, that Will and the hoax, because I imagine if he ends up like he has sworn on his kids' lives that body was real. He's sworn to me that I wouldn't put you in jeopardy with a fake body. I don't know if he said that to. He definitely said that to me. When I was raising concerns before I left, and then after I saw the body, and that was one of the arguments we had, that of course I wouldn't put you or my family. Well, he's actually put his this.
Sure.
You think about it, they're going to have to move around a lot. I hope they like moving, because they move around a lot already, and now I know why, because people get to know Rick and they don't like him, so he has to move. He has to move away from himself, but the thing is, he himself follows himself. So, he, from putting his own family in jeopardy like that, I don't know how he can sleep at night and look in the mirror and be happy with himself.
Good question. All right, so you guys roll into San Antonio, right?
First, and we went to the kill site. Then we waited for Dale. Dale got there. I picked Dale up. I drove to get Dale, and that's a big hand drive, but Rick didn't want to do it. And I don't know how I got there, and but I got there, and drove in to get him back. And the show the next day in Katy, so we're up early and we open up. The media starts coming. That was, I don't know. I mean, I got the media out, and various ladies come out that he starts to be friends with, and media come out, and then he starts this, believe it or not, in case that you can get out of it, you can believe it or not, but I do have a real Bigfoot in the back there. Right. You can believe it or not. And his marketing is to see a real dead Bigfoot. That is fraud 101. That is fraud. Now, at this stage, when Dale felt those toes, I wanted a second opinion, because I felt it a few days earlier, as I mentioned, and I wanted Dale's opinion. And because Dale's a stand-up guy, and I wanted, and the look on his face was, oh no, So when Rick was away discussing, well, what is it? And we didn't know. We truly did not know. We had a lot of options, but you've got to remember at the same time, once Katy started, we were working 18 hours a day without any money. We had taxidermy people coming onto the tour and saying, this is exactly what a taxidermy body would look like.
Sure.
So we had another lady saying, this is the same Bigfoot I saw 18 years ago. And of course, I did the story because I was told the story and I put it together, and because I'm grounded, when Rick came and did the tour of the body, he would just say, oh, the body would come up to the glass, so, and he looked back at his iPad again, and it was really embarrassing. So I wanted to give people good value, so I tried to give them what I thought at the time to be the official story.
Sure.
And now I see it, and it's like, it's not. Once you see the end of Shooting Bigfoot, that story is not anything.
Sure.
I'm not even sure if the.
Yeah, and we look back now, and even now we get comments and stuff like, "Y'all are so stupid. Y'all should have seen that from the start." And yeah, we should have, but it was one of them things where you had to be there, in that circle with Rick. And I've never been one to believe much in. Even though I guess it is a reality, in brainwashing. I hate to use that word because I'm not, I don't know that much, about it as far as research. But if there's such a thing as brainwashed, that's what I was. And Rick is so convincing, and he's such, and many people tell you this, that once they met him, they liked him. But meeting him and living with him is two different stories. Yeah, I mean, it really is. And just me being a singer, it seems like everything reminds me of a song. And every time I think of Rick, there's a song, and I'm not going to sing it, but just one of the verses. I think it was written by Ed Bruce, but it says something about them that don't know him don't like him, and them that do don't know how to take him. He's not wrong, he's just different, but his pride won't let him do things to make you think he's right. And I look and I say, well, damn, if they didn't hit that dead on the nose, that should be his theme song.
Mm-hmm. Was he writing about a narcissistic person?
Yeah, I mean, narcissistic psychopath is, some of the people has been saying that he suffers from, and that's very well possible.
Don't excuse his behaviour and what he did to us, though.
Yeah,
does not excuse him.
And I'll tell you what he suffers from is ego enormotus. I just made up a word there, but his ego, he tries so hard to inflate his ego. That's what he suffers from.
And like Andrew, I know he does. I mean, I'm not taking that from him because he does have the ability to make choices.
Exactly.
Rick does. And one of the things, like Andrew said to start with, when I got on the tour, is that that Rick would never introduce us to anyone. Just out of common respect, not that we wanted the glory, but like if a camera crew came up and somebody said, yeah, that's Rick Dyer right there. Are you Rick Dyer? Yeah, I'm Rick Dyer. Oh, this is my friend Andrew, and this is Dale Boswell. None of that would ever happen. If they knew who you were, you had to introduce yourself, or I would introduce Andrew, or Andrew would introduce me, which is not a big deal to some people, but I guess being a Southern Alabama guy, respect. And Rick would never do that or give anyone the glory for anything, even little things, that that don't really make a difference. I don't even know why I'm saying it, but there was suggestions that I had made on through the year, and things that he does or did, as far as it was my idea to name it the "I Told You So" tour, the Team Tracker gang sign, if you want to call it, was my idea. That kind of came about crazy, and right on up to when he did the shows in Alamo and at the Alamo
the
Draft House. Yeah, to start with, just from being from an entertainer perspective, I said, well, you should play Jackie Pridemore's song, at least, and play Walter's too, but kick off with Jackie's. And he never said a word to me, just looked at me and looked back at his iPad. Next thing, I come around the corner and they were playing the song in the theater, doing a sound check. And it, it was like, well, okay, I'm glad he did it, but at least say thank you once in a while.
Well, I'll tell you what, I would think that in hindsight, you're probably glad that you didn't get any quote unquote credit, because I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I look back now at all the people, and there were hundreds of people there, and they really came in. The theaters were packed. There were people as far as I could see standing around the building, and while Andrew was he would be in the trailer telling the story, answering questions, and that talk non-stop for hours and hours and hours. He would answer the same question, for the next group of people that come in. Sure. Over and over again, and he's such a professional at that. But I would be outside, and I would be taking up the money. And also, just trying to keep them people entertained for a few minutes till their time to go into the trailer and see the body. Mm-hmm. So I would answer questions also, and I look back now and there's so many people that I swore to, even on his grave. And I say this because this was it was around February the 21st. Which was actually my anniversary date. My dad died the day before.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Rob and I were married, but it was during that time, and it was fresh in my mind because and I pretty much say it like this: I'm no scientist, but from what I know and from what I can tell is a real dead Bigfoot in there, and I would swear on my father's grave that it was. And now I look back and think of what a fool I was, and for Rick to know this all along and let like that,
right.
or any of us, while he was probably laughing at us behind the scenes, about how gullible, and he's right to laugh at us because we were gullible. I mean, I say for myself, I was gullible, and I wanted to believe so bad, and it's I don't know what to say. I'm just fortunate that I'm sure my friends all know it, but when you got true friends, you know how to do things proper, and no one has mentioned it to me as saying see what it needs, should have known it, and because that's what friends do. They respect what happened, and they know even though I take the blame that it shouldn't have happened, and it didn't have to happen.
Right. Well, if it's any consolation, Dale, you can't be held responsible for making a swear on your dad's grave for something you believed was true, so.
Yeah. Well, I do hold myself responsible, and I hate that because why didn't I see all this? I look back and, I'm not, I don't have a college degree, but, I am to think I would pick up on them kind of things, but you look back, and this is no excuse, but, there's scams and that happen every day where responsible, smart people are taken advantage of.
Sure.
You know, that not that I'm in that category, but still, you know, I still take the blame on myself because I should have seen it coming.
Okay, so where does the tour go next? Once you leave San Antonio?
Well, just before that, you have to know that he made wads of cash that night.
Okay.
That he had to put it straight in the bank, straight in his account. No matter what time of night it was, it had to be even 8. So we'd eaten in Waffle House at 1 a.m. or something because the money had to go in the bank there and then. And the reason being is he didn't want to pay us. You know, he didn't want. And then if you made say 8,000, he told us it was 5,000. That sort of thing, because you know he told us it was 5,000, but clearly made a lot more than that. Because in case there was a cut later, that he wanted to pay us less, and he'd already a few times on other monies that came in from a TV interview and other things that happened. That all went to him, and he sent it all off to his account, so he was okay. He was setting himself up for the future. So he'd have a few months and he could start his little car business up again, you know, trading cars and, you know, scamming people that way.
Sure.
And a lot of this, you know, I have some video that I could back up a lot of these claims and photos, and not at the, and I wasn't taking this at the time in the thoughts of using it against Rick in any way, documenting the adventure.
Sure.
You know, and because this, you know, to me was, you know, this is making world history and this is cool. You know, I got behind the scenes video of Andrew and Rick and just things that we happened to do, and you know how hard it is and the pressures we were on, and just that type of thing. But one that stands out was I think it was San Antonio. It was our really first big night, and I was taking up the money, like I say, and I don't know how much I had, but I do know I had more money stuffed in my pockets than I probably have ever had in my whole life. I would get a fistful of money and I would stick it in a pocket and go for another one, and you know, until I filled it up. So you know, and like I said, you know, then I thought it was all legitimate. I thought, what a deal! You know, these people are paying, you know, $10 to see something extraordinary that, you know, that you know, just a few people in the world get to see. Anyway, you know, those have the live encounters and stuff. You know, to me, is people very fortunate to actually see one of these creatures in person. You know, I never have, but you know, I thought, well, hell, here's a dead one. I can start from here. But at the end of the night, on the bus, and this video, you know, makes me look stupid because at hindsight, because I was so excited, thinking, you know, because I've been telling Rick all along, like, man, this is going to be so awesome. You know, you're just going to be a superstar. You know, this is so cool, and the history books are going to be rewritten, and you know, it's going to just change everything. And that was my feeling at the time. So I had someone film. I said, okay, here's what I said. Something about, here's your first. You've earned it, you know, which I look back now thinking, yeah, I should have given it to Andrew. Right. Andrew earned it. But it was, I don't know, it was $5,000 or $6,000, I think, what he said. Wow. That I towards the whole night, I'm not sure how much I had in my pocket then. I know it was probably at least half of that I dumped out in front of him. And all this is on video, and he's just excited, and he looks up and says, is that all? You know, and of course it's all in fun at the time.
Sure.
But you know, like I said, I can back up a lot of this that we're talking about, and I will when the time comes. You know.
I mean, why this? Because he was skimming money all the time, and yet he's claimed he paid us all, and he didn't. And I can prove my bank account that what I got paid in that time. My proof, like, can he? Sure. If he's making claims, does he actually say that, you know, $12,000 is what he owes me? Well. He probably does owe me that money, but he's not going to pay me. Doesn't mean I received it. Just because he owes it to me doesn't mean he's just trying to make himself into a good guy when he's clearly a rip-off artist and a liar to make himself look good.
Sure.
And you know he is. And I hate to use the word smart, but you know, con men are smart people in a criminal way, I guess. But you know, after that night when I handed him all that cash. From then on, and I guess he thought then, you know, because apparently he really does not trust anyone for anything, and but from then on, he would come around to me every few minutes and take whatever 20s I had in my pocket. You know, he'd give me just enough to make change with, a few tens, some five. But it was like then, like it really got good to him, and all right, I got to get more and more and more. He'd come around, and I'd, you know, just had that look in his eyes, and you know, he almost acted like I was going to steal from him or something, and that never crossed my mind, you know. But looking back now, people who are afflicted with an illness that I think he does have, that's what they think. They trust no one.
Well, another time, only at time suit, because Dyer was busy, and I emptied out all my pockets, and unwittingly I had my last $40 of the tour in my pocket, and I handed it. It was mixed up in his money, but you didn't have the even question and get your $40 back, because it would have been like I asked him. Like, there was a stage I asked him to pay the guys back in Minola money every day to send them some money. He just gave them some frozen food out of the fridge to leave them with, and left them. It was his responsibility. He didn't pay. He didn't give them any money to live off. This lady they stayed with had to pay for their meals.
Oh, wow.
Ridiculous. It was low. And then me and Dale working our butts off. I asked him for $200 a day. Well, he's making way over $5,000 a day, and he barked at me. No, don't ask for it again. And Dale and I look at each other. What? Like, we're only asking for what, $400 between us. That's nothing. Like, right. 18 hours a day, we did all the work. He took all the glory. Didn't work as hard as me and Dale did. Just going around getting snapshots of people and trying to be a star, going to his head.
And just for the record, you know, when I went on a tour, I didn't expect to get paid, but I was floored because I knew Andrew was there for business, you know, mainly, and it just floored me the way he treated Andrew. And Andrew should have been well paid. I mean, he worked his little Aussie ass off.
Unfortunately, I brought in every cent for him, and he's even admitted that. He wouldn't admit it now, but he's admitted that. And the thing is, I spoke up on Dale's behalf. Dale earned it and deserved some money for that. Like,
sure. Absolutely.
We were going to bed at 3 a.m. We were up at the next morning at 7 a.m. or something. Like, we were that smashed.
And you didn't mention about getting a hotel room just to relax for a day. And Andrew he told me that earlier. He mentioned it. And one day I don't know why I did, but I just thought, I'm going to just ask Rick myself. And Andrew was there, and I asked him, I said, man, you know, our next, if we got a day in between, we should, you know, get a hotel room, no, not together, but, you know, just a little $40, $50 room somewhere, and just, we all have a room, just relax, watch TV, just chill out. Oh, you would have thought I was asking for the moon. It was like, no hotel rooms. You stay on this bus. Everyone will stay on this bus. That's what we got it for. And I'm like, you know, Rick, you know, I've been on tours before, and I guarantee you, if you'll watch every artist that pours into town, if they got an extra day, they don't stay on that damn bus. They go to a hotel room. Right. Because it's not fun. It looks all glamorous, but it's not. It's miserable.
I mean, we were sick of having showers with grey water at our feet. You know, like we would get in the shower, and he would drive purposely to and throw the bus around from side to side, so we're getting smashed around in the shower, and he thinks it's great fun. I mean, Link and I bought him a toilet brush, and
we weren't there together, though. Let me clarify.
No.
Hey, fellas, I'm going to take another break real quick, and when I come back, we're going to talk. We're going to pick up